Hey everyone, what is going on? My name is Adil and welcome to another video on the channel. Now today we'll be taking a look at the MSI B350 Gaming Pro Carbon motherboard. I recently did do the unboxing for this motherboard, so if you guys want to check that out in a separate video, then I'll leave the link for that video down in the description below. But in this video I'll be going over the review for the motherboard, not the unboxing. So without any further ado, let's get started. Now if you're planning to get a Ryzen chipset or even got the Ryzen chipset and looking for a motherboard, then this MSI B350 motherboard will definitely take you away. It comes with DDR4 support of 4 modules up to 64GB running at 3200 MHz plus overclocking availability. Now this motherboard is VR ready, and with VR boost it will definitely reduce the latency and reduce motion sickness. If you wanted to spice things up with your PC build, then you can also enable the Mystic Lights option, which you can sync up all of your lights in your case and go on a full-on disco show with these colours like this. Boom! You also have the Turbo M.2 with a shield, which is very unique and nice to see that motherboards have this M.2 shield, which is much better than the non-shielded version. USB 3.1 Gen 2 ports are available on the rear, USB Type A and Type C ports, which is definitely a much faster improvement than the Gen 1 and also the USB 3.0 ports. Now nicely, this motherboard does support Crossfire, doesn't support SLI, but it does support Crossfire as well. This is made for an AMD processor, so it will definitely favour towards AMD graphic cards as well, which will work much better with the Crossfire. And also single card performances, you can go all out on NVIDIA or AMD graphic cards. Now for those of you who like the cinematic surround sound, then you also have the 7.1 surround sound in this, which is again cinematic and dramatic. Now let's take a look at some of the benchmark results we got with this motherboard. The system we used for these tests are the Ryzen 7 1800X CPU, the GTX 1080, 16GB of DDR4, 2400 MHz modules, but we actually use them at 2100 MHz, and the Samsung 850 EVO Pro. So in 3D Mark we got a score of 9,974, a graphics score of 10,498 and a physics score of 19,950. Now in Unigine Heaven we got a score of 5,090 with an FPS counter of 202.1. And finally in Cinebench R15 we got a score of 1,599 on this motherboard. So those were some great numbers out there. I don't see any difference or much difference in terms of performance from the X370 lineup, as this B350 definitely holds its value and performs pretty much similar to the X370 with a few features not in there, but I definitely think this is well worth the money. Along with all of that bragging about the motherboard and how it performs and all of those features in there, there are a few things that I think could have been better or I didn't like. Now first of all, the M.2 slot, which has the shield option on there, is hidden right under the graphic card slot. As soon as you put a graphic card on there, you cannot see that, which is a kind of a shame, because once you've got that shield on there, it does look very nice, but if you've got it hidden, then there's no point in showing that. So it would have been better to place it anywhere else, or maybe in between the CPU and the top PCIe lane, which would kind of give it a better look. Now I know this is intended for AMD processors, which is why they're favouring the Crossfire support for AMD graphic cards, but it would have been nice to have SLI support on there for those NVIDIA fans. But then if you need SLI support, I would suppose you need to go for the X370 lineup and not the B350 lineup. But hey, this is just me saying it would have been nice to have SLI support. And the final thing that caught my attention was the Sata Ports. Now there's only 4 Sata Ports, and if you're a person who really loves them Sata Ports and having the most amount of SSDs and hard disks in there, then well, this is gonna disappoint you, as you only have 4 SATA ports in there. So you might want to consider having a larger SSD or hard disk in there. But if you already got a ton of SSDs and hard disks, then probably this is not the motherboard for you. Now overall, this is a fantastic motherboard, leaving them a few itty bitty things that I've taken out of it. In general performance, they actually perform similar to the X370 lineup and has overclocking availability for your Ryzen chipset, which is not bad for a B series motherboard under £120. Now if you guys enjoyed this review, then please leave a like down below and maybe subscribe to the channel for more reviews like this one. Once again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.